G'day folks, welcome to another edition of Talking SANFL. Round 9 is done. My name is Andrew Hayes, this is Daniel Menzel. Men's, some interesting results from the weekend.
I feel like we say this every week, but I feel like the weekend really turned the competition on its head in multiple ways, and we might as well get straight into it. We'll start with the game at Adelaide Oval. The Eagles taking on the Adelaide Crows. Now, there's no harder place to play the Crows than Adelaide Oval, especially with the team they had in. They are so quick, and I found that out on the weekend.
Yeah, so they are stacked, and we know that. They've got some really good players playing in the SANFL who, in other seasons, have been playing AFL level. But can you explain that? Why are they so hard to play at Adelaide Oval?
Well, I think with the way they play, they're such an offensive attacking team, although their defence has been much better this year. They take the game on, they've got that speed, they've got that youth that have played at AFL level, and so when you get Schoenberg getting the ball on the outside to Haitley, Crouch, Newchurch, all of these guys that they run, they are so hard to stop. So you want to play Adelaide on a boggy deck where they can't get their running game going. We took them on at the Adelaide Oval, and you can see the score, 13-17, 95 to 11-6, 72. They were just far too good.
Next game, West Adelaide taking on North. So, I mean, we will mention this in our talking point a little bit later on, but geez, this was one of the big upsets we've seen for a few weeks. Adam Hartlett is starting to string some wins together. Really, really interesting stuff happening in North Adelaide.
It really is, and we'll delve into that in a little bit. But I want to touch on West Adelaide for a second. I reckon it would probably be the happiest time that the West Adelaide Footy Club has been in maybe 4 years. Players are going into the club this week going, we're a genuine side, we're a genuine chance in every game. That hasn't been the case for a long time. So what Adam Hartlett has done there and those West Adelaide boys with such a young core list, it's impressive.
So we know, and I can tell you first and foremost from what you know as well, so very good at dealing with young blokes and probably getting the best out of them. This was a side at the start of the year who weren't tipped to do anything. And we can say that now because it's completely been transformed and turned on its head. On the other side of things, North were predicted to do everything. So there's a lot to talk about there. Next game was Port Adelaide v Centrals at Alberton. I feel sorry for the Dogs because they got Port Adelaide at their absolute strongest. They were stacked. They had Ryan Burton for a half. They had Aratia Fantasia back in some form. They got Tom Jonas. All these players who could still be playing AFL right now. They've all come together at the wrong time for Centrals.
They really have. And if you have a look at the scores there, 13-14, 92 to 10-9, 69. It was very similar to the Adelaide game against the Eagles. They kicked straighter. They would have won the game more comfortably. It was an easy win in the end, despite the margin only being 4 goals. Very similar to the Crows win. But the Adelaide and the Port teams are as strong as I probably can remember the both of them at once being at a time. And it's great for the competition. I know it's not great for a lot of fans out there that despise those teams playing well and being strong, but it makes a really strong, healthy competition.
Interesting to see what happens this week with selection on the AFL side. So Fantasia was very good. They need to make a change because Lockie Jones is out for a month. Let's talk about Glenelg and Sturt. This was the big bumper game, of course.
Top of the table clash.
Huge crowd as well down at Stratorama Oval, which is really, really nice. No one predicted this to be this lopsided.
No, a lot of people predicted Glenelg at home. They'd won 7 on the trot. They had been super at home, and so expected them to probably win the game against Sturt with that home ground advantage, but not come out and kick 7 goals in the first quarter, 7 in the second and 7 in the third. 23 goals 12, 150 to 6 goals 9, 45. Marty Matno will be hurting with that because they pride themselves on their defence. Their offence has been much better this year, but to give up 150 points, and realistically 130 of them came in the first 3 quarters.
Jeez, it's unbelievable. Another talking point, of course it is, but there's a clear and outright best team in the competition right now.
Yeah, there is. And look, I think if Adelaide took them on at Adelaide Oval, it would be a magnificent game at the moment. But you're right, I think Glenelg is the number 1 team in the comp. And if we go to the other end of the table, South Adelaide, 8 goals, 856, losing to Norwood, 12-7, 79. This was a depressing loss for South Adelaide fans in particular, but that footy club, they were never in this game. The result shows they lost by 23 points. Well, how's this? At 3/4 time, they were down 67 to 10.
Wow.
They scored 10 points at 3/4 time after beating North Adelaide and then just losing to Sturt. It looked like they got their season back on track. There's some alarm bells down at Flinders University Stadium.
So they're in an interesting spot because you feel like South on their day can beat everyone, but they're also capable of losing to anyone as well.
They really are, and so that's been the story of their season as we put the ladder up on the screen now, and you'll have a look that from 4th place on the ladder there where the Eagles sit at 4 and 5, all the way down to South, who are in ninth position at 3 and 6. There's one game that separates them, and your point there, Hazy, spot on, that South can beat anyone, but then they also can be as bad as anyone, and it keeps them in touch with the top 5. Yeah, it's clear out in front. There's 2 or 3 teams that have really started to leap away, and Norwood, having won their first game, will now be thinking, we are still in touch with finals because the teams are keeping the door open.
And congratulations to Norwood as well, who were on the verge of recreating history. And that was, I think, after 2015-2016 season, the worst start to a postseason, or the next season rather, after winning a flag, was 9 straight losses.
Wow.
By the Bloods. So they avoided a nasty piece of history.
That is incredible, and their season's off and running. We'll see what they can do this weekend against Port Adelaide. But let's move into our next segment, which is the Rejuvenate Massage and Fitness.